What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the film room. Well, not really the film room so much this time. This is actually going to be the inaugural Cowboys Film Room mock draft. This is going to be the first mock draft we have ever done on this channel. Just going to be a little 4-round mock, only drafting for the Cowboys. Going to be using a mock draft simulator. And yeah, really excited to get this video out to you guys. Really curious to hear your thoughts on the potential prospects for the Cowboys in this upcoming draft and what you think of the picks that I made in this draft. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Definitely be sure to real quick go and hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers. Cannot thank you guys enough for that milestone. And yeah, let's go on and get into it. For this mock draft, I'm going to be using the draftnetwork.com's mock draft simulator. Of all the mock draft simulators that I've used, I feel like this is the best one. It's going to give you the most true depiction, or as close as you can get to the real thing. And they don't have too many picks where it's like, okay, why the hell would that ever happen in any situation? And some of the other ones I've used, like PFF, for example, just has some trades or some picks where it's like, okay, that just doesn't make any sense at all. But this one, you don't have that too many times using their predictive board. And I feel like this is about as true as you can get to what the 2021 draft might actually look like. Getting into the draft, though, like I said, this is going to be a 4-round mock draft for our Dallas Cowboys. Starting out, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Penei Sewell, not too much off of what we might see in the real draft. Perhaps you could say the Dolphins, seeing their QB situation, maybe they go Justin Fields here. You never know. Jamar Chase for Joe Burrow to throw to. Can't go wrong with that. Eagles taking Patrick Surtain, trying to lock up that three-headed monster we have in our receiving core. And then Caleb Farley coming out from under our feet. Maybe we wanted to pick him there if Surtain was gone. But this one's going to be pretty easy for me, guys. Some people could argue, okay, maybe, hey, we get Jalen Waddle, add another dynamic receiver to our already dynamic offense. But this one's going to be easy for me, guys. Got to go Rashawn Slater here. We saw how Patrick Mahomes was running around in the Super Bowl, and that is something I want to avoid at all costs. You need to be able to protect your franchise quarterback, and we have had significant health issues on our offensive line, and especially at the tackle position. We know Tyron Smith's roller coaster of health, how he can be pretty inconsistent as to whether or not he's on the field. La'el Collins missed all of last season. Hopefully that's not a lingering thing. And also with the Rashawn Slater, you get a guy that you can rotate around on the offensive line. He's not just going to be a traditional left tackle. He can play both sides, and you could even move him inside at the guard spot. So going to go ahead and take him with our first pick here. So now we have Rashawn Slater. Can put him on the outside if we have health issues, or if we don't trust our guys on the inside, can even bring him in. He can play center as well. Just the flexibility that we need with how banged up our offensive line has been and how questionable we are at some spots outside of course, Zach Martin and healthy Tyron Smith and La'el Collins. But of course, like I said, their health is kind of up in the air recently. Getting into the second round, though, this is where I'm going to want to go safety no matter what. I think up here we can have, if Trayvon Moehrig falls to us, I think that's an option. It really just depends who you like more. For me, at safety, my guy is going to be Richie Grant. He's only slightly shorter or slightly smaller than Trayvon Moehrig, but what I want out of our safety that we draft into this Dan Quinn scheme to pair with Donovan Wilson is a guy that can cover ground. And I think Richie Grant has that extra step over Trayvon Moehrig. With Richie Grant, you're getting a guy that you can put back in as a center fielder, deep middle third kind of guy, and he can cover ground sideline to sideline, but also he's going to be a guy that is a willing tackler coming down, wraps up, makes hits, and is just a textbook tackler. So for me, this could be different for you guys. I know a lot of guys have Trayvon Moehrig higher, maybe they're safety number one, but for me, in this spot, I would go Richie Grant personally. Definitely comment below. Let me know what you guys think about this. I know this is going to be kind of a polarizing pick, but for me, it's got to be Richie Grant out of Central Florida. All right, so now assuming we don't bring Xavier Woods back, we have our guy to pair with Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson can be that heat-seeking missile underneath, and we have our guy that we can trust to be over the top, got the speed to make plays sideline to sideline, and also, hey, if he needs to make a tackle, he can come down and do so well. So now from here, coming into the third round, going to be picking in the 74th overall spot. This is where I want to address our interior defensive line. Now let's see what we have available here at the 74th spot. Where's my guy, Elin Mcneil? Did he get taken, actually? Look for him. I don't think he did, I guess. Yeah, there's Elin Mcneil. Now, with Elin Mcneil, this is a guy who's going to be a raw talent and kind of a project player, if you will. And I know we've been doing that for a while with some of these guys. Malik Collins was kind of a project guy. Tristan Hill, kind of a project guy. But what I like about Elin Mcneil is he can come in, and even if he is a project guy, you can just put him in on early downs and have him be a run stuffer, have him close up holes up the middle. And that was a huge problem for us this past season. Having running backs run through, I mean, the sea was parted for them. They very typically had big old holes that you could drive a semi-truck through, and I think Elin Mcneil could help in patching that up. Now say we want maybe a more polished guy that also has a pass rush to him. That's where I think we could go Marlon Tuipulotu out of the University of Southern California. I think this is a guy that's going to bring in maybe a 3-down kind, maybe less of a project guy. He can come in for 3 downs and be effective. He's still very versatile in stopping the run. He's not just going to be a slam right up the middle guy. He's a guy that you can move out to the 3-tech spot as well, and he has versatility, lateral quickness to make plays against the run, but also possesses speed and strength to be solid as a pass rusher. So it really depends what you want. I think with McNeil, you have a higher ceiling in that he can be that interior run stopper that we possibly need, but with Tuipulotu, he is also a guy that can come in and stop the run, but you can have in there as well to come in on 3rd and long passing downs to try and get pressure in the face of a quarterback. For me, I'm more concerned about us containing rushers up the middle, not letting them just bust loose up the middle and gash us every single down or in early down situations especially. So I am going to go with Elin Mcneil here. Like I said, maybe another polarizing pick, but I think this is a guy, if worked into it well, and I think when we have Tristan Hill returning and Neville Gallimore, I think he can kind of work himself in there a little bit, and especially so on early down situations. So I think this is the pick that I would like to see the Cowboys go with. I think there's just more upside and potential there than if you bring in a guy like Marlon Tuipulotu. So, going to go ahead and select Elin Mcneil. And now, just looking back on our picks, we have that offensive tackle, offensive line, honestly, as a whole, like I said, the versatility with Rashawn Slater, have that patched up, have our guy to come in and pair with Donovan Wilson, and have a guy that we can grow to help maybe for us become a dominant run stopper up the middle, something that we have been missing for quite some time at that 1-tech spot. Now, where we are going to go in our last pick of the 3rd round at the 99th overall spot. Looking at the board, this is going to be a pretty tough one for me. First, we have Jabriel Cox, a guy that could come in and use speed and athleticism to be a serious addition to this defense in this zone scheme we will be running. I think this is a guy that could come in and on passing downs be super effective when we put him in zone. He's got the ranginess, the speed to cover a lot of ground and stick with NFL level tight ends and guys coming over the middle. I think he could be really effective in this Dan Quinn scheme, being that rangy linebacker that can cover a lot of ground over the middle. Also, at the corner spot, we have Kelvin Joseph. Kelvin Joseph is a guy that would fit really well in our cover 3 scheme under Dan Quinn. He's 6'1". He's got nice verticality to him. He can get down the field and cover down the field effectively. He finds the football. This past season in 9 games, he had 4 interceptions, took 1 to the house as well. I think he could fit very well in a bump and run cover 3 style of defense, and could be a guy that could come in and compete for some playing time, and we would be getting him at the 3rd round spot late. Another guy that I think we could consider at this spot is Patrick Jones out of Pittsburgh. He's an edge rusher, and he's as pure of an edge rusher as it gets. He's not going to be a guy that's standing up or dropping into coverage or anything. He's going to be a guy that you're going to say go in there and get after the quarterback, and he does that very well. He racked up, I don't remember the exact number, but he racked up a lot of sacks in his time at Pittsburgh, and he's a guy in a spot that we need to add depth to that could come in and be a nice developmental player to get in there when Randy Gregory or DeMarcus Lawrence are not. So for me, at this spot, if Jabriel Cox falls, I would have to go with him. I just think I don't trust our linebackers to be ultra effective in this Dan Quinn scheme. I think Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith both struggled in coverage this past season and have lost a bit of a step in that speed that they maybe once possessed in 2018. I just think we need a guy that can come in, be solid in zone, be fast and rangy, and shut down the underneath hook to curl middle of the field. And I'm just worried we might not have that with Leighton Vander Esch or Jalen Smith. So if we could bring in Jabriel Cox and develop him into that, it may take some time, of course, but I think Dan Quinn in this scheme will be easy for him to adapt to from his time in LSU. And I think this would be a very good pick for us at the 99th overall spot. So, going to go ahead and add him to this defense-heavy draft. And I believe we have 2 picks in the 4th round, starting with pick 115 up here. Are they stealing any of our guys? There is a guy I do have my eye on. There he goes. Kenneth Gainwell, running back out of Memphis. He's a guy that I absolutely love, and the Falcons seem to have taken him here. He's just one of those gadget backs. You can put him out in the slot. Memphis seems like they're always producing those guys, or at least, Tony Pollard. He's a guy that we could definitely have brought in and used in a gadget type of role in this offense. Kyle Trask to Denver maybe could beat out Drew Lock. You never know. He was a stud. But getting into what we might do with our first pick in the 4th round, looking at what we have so far, we've gone tackle, safety, interior defensive line, and linebacker. So now maybe is the time where we try to get a guy off of the edge, or you never know, maybe we could add a running back here if we feel a need to. Trey Sermon still available out of Ohio State. He's a potential late round sleeper. Maybe add ourselves a wide receiver. Diami Brown, a stud out of North Carolina, was always catching bombs from Sam Howell. He's a guy that maybe we could bring in too and fill in as that 4th wide receiver spot if we don't bring back Cedric Wilson. However, the guy that I'm going to want to take here is Robert Hainesy out of Notre Dame. We know Notre Dame is responsible for producing some of the best offensive linemen in the league. You have Zach Martin, Quentin Nelson, for example, 2 dominant guys at the NFL level, all pro talents. And I don't think Robert Hainesy is going to be that. I don't think that's even his ceiling. But he's a guy you can trust to come in. He has 3 years of starting experience under his belt, and he is going to be solid. Bring him in, and he's not going to be a guy that starts right away, but would be a nice piece to add to your depth if there's any injuries on the offensive line, especially at the tackle spot. He's a guy that you can bring in and trust him to pass block decent enough, but also be a solid run blocker. So, going to go ahead and add him to patch up some of that offensive line depth. And now I believe, at least for the sake of this mock draft, we are going to be heading into our last pick in the back half of the 4th round. I believe it's over here. Yep, the 139th spot. And at this point, I think we've done the best of our ability to patch up the weaknesses in this team, whether it be tackle depth, interior defensive line, and safety. I mean, I was thinking about potentially going corner here, but just looking through at the corners that are available kind of towards this part of the draft right now, just not a lot of size. I guess Elijah Griffin is maybe a 6-foot corner, but he's more of a press kind of guy. Just nothing I'm really loving at corner right now. So I think this is where we need to take a shot at an edge rusher. And I think if that is the case, and this is the availability we have here with some of these edge rushers, I think Rashad Weaver is going to be our best option out of Pitt. Weaver's a guy that had 7.5 sacks in 9 games last season, and he does have versatility at that edge. He can be kind of like a 5 technique guy in a 3-4, or you can bring him in a base 4-3. Just have him as a down edge rusher and tell him to go and get the quarterback. So I think that is the definite option that we should be going with here if this is kind of what we're looking at. I think edge or corner is, based on just what we've picked so far, is likely the route that we would take. So with that being said, I think just best available option here out of those two, it's definitely going to be Rashad Weaver, and I think he's a guy that could come in, be a nice depth piece for when Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence aren't on the field. Bring him in, work him in here and there, and he could be a solid guy that could provide a steady rush. So gonna go ahead and take him there, and that is going to bring an end to this 4-round mock draft. Let's take a look at our picks. It's finalizing the draft here. User picks. So Rashawn Slater at that first spot. Neither of the corners we liked were available, so that was a pretty easy one for me. And even if Farley or Surtain were available, I still think I would have gone with Rashawn Slater here, just because I think it is urgent that we patch up that offensive line for Dak Prescott, assuming he will be our quarterback next year. And then second round, got our guy to pair with Donovan Wilson, Richie Grant. I'm hoping that if we are in this spot, we do take Richie Grant. I definitely want you guys to comment below and let me know if you're a Grant guy, Trayvon Mower guy, hell, maybe even an Ardarius Washington guy. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter hyping up Ardarius Washington, so I think he would be a later round guy if we were to get him. I don't think he would be at the 42 spot. I don't think a lot of NFL teams are too high on him because of his height, no pun intended. But then our first spot in the third round, Elin Mcneil, a guy that I do think will be a projects player but can come in and patch up the issues we have been having in early down stopping the run, and especially so up the middle. And then Jabriel Cox, it is very important that we have speed at the linebacker spot and ranginess to be able to cover ground over the middle, and I think Jabriel Cox can bring that. And then just going to add more depth to that offensive line. I think that is super important for us this offseason, is to get depth on the offensive line. I think if we fall apart again at the offensive line spot, that can be the downfall of what otherwise could be a number one offense. So being able to have that depth to bring in and not have it hurt us as bad as it might would be huge for this Cowboys offense this coming season. And then lastly, just getting a guy that can come in and be a rotational piece at the edge, Rashad Weaver. He's a guy that you can put down in a 4-3 and just tell him to go after the quarterback, and also a guy that can be pretty solid against the run. I think his specialty, though, is definitely getting after the passer, and that would be his main objective if we were to bring him in and rotate him in when D-Law and Randy Gregory are a little tired. So guys, that is going to be the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely comment below. Let me know what you think about some of these picks, what you might have done in some of these situations that we were put in. And let me know if you want me to do another one of these in the future. I had a lot of fun making this video. It's always a good time going through and building your own little Dallas Cowboys roster or additions to the roster through the draft. Also, definitely make sure to subscribe. We are so close to 2,000 subs. Can't thank you guys enough for getting us to that number. Again, guys, thank you for stopping by, and I will see you on the next video.